thank you everybody for showing up to the third episode of Yeah Wuteva. I could not be more blessed by showing one of my best friends, my brothers, someone I love to play music with, hang out with when I get a chance. Iggy Ignacio Nacho from Klandestino.
Yeah. Oh, Anna, how are you?
I'm doing really well, man. How about yourself?
I'm well. I'm good. I'm at home and I'm doing fine. I'm fine.
So
Good to be here with you.
thank you, man. I'm very glad you came. I'm going to start with the most important thing that I've heard about. There's a little Nacho coming along.
It is my the Iggy baby is coming. Is coming. Yes, believe it? Can you believe it?
It's exciting, man. How much longer you got to wait?
Till February.
Okay.
Yes, that's the date he's coming to the world and join us.
Exciting times to be part of everything that's going on.
Yeah. Yes.
But all right. So talk to me about what Klandestino is, like where you guys came from, how it got started, please.
Okay, Klandestino is a band that started a long time ago with another name. We used to call our band Murga. That was long time ago, like in the 90s. The 90s, like mid-90s, 94, 95.
Okay.
And we used to play like pop music, more like rock and español music long time ago. And we started a band with Toby. He used to play guitar long time ago, Toby, and then Charlie, the other guitar, and I actually was the drummer. I used to play the drums long time ago.
Okay.
In that band, and then we switched the name in the 2008. We changed the name to Klandestino, and we changed the style and everything, and we enter more into the reggae and ska world. And we started from there, 2008.
Yeah, you guys have been going a long time. I know that.
Yes.
So Klandestino, I've never actually talked to you about this. As long as I play with you guys, I hang out with you, and the name came from Manu Chao, right?
Well, half and half. That's every time somebody is like when I'm in an interview. Mm-hmm. Ask the same question, and for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Yes. And yes, I'm a fan of Manu Chao. I really love his music and everything he does. In artistic. But the other side of the story is that, and I know Manu Chao. He has this record that is called this album that is called Klandestino, and he also has a song.
Right.
But the other half of the story is that being a band that lives in the frontiers, by the border.
Okay.
It has like a meaning for us to be in Klandestino means like somebody who is illegal or something that is illegal. Like if somebody is like selling clandestino beer, so that means that beer is selling in an illegal way. So I'm thinking, and the way that I feel is like nobody should be a clandestino in the world. Okay, everyone should be like a free soul and a free person in the world, and that's kind of like the story behind the name of Klandestino. Like everybody should be free, not a clandestino. It's like kind of like the opposite.
Yeah, so I was going to ask, do you guys follow some of the Manu Chao political views? But that is one of the big things. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think just comes from life experience for you guys more than listening to music, That's really cool. So what do you do in Klandestino, and who are we missing?
Okay, I'm Iggy, the lead singer and guitar player, and we're missing. Well, Charlie's the other guitar player, and then Toby, bass player, Chava, the drum player, and Shu is a percussionist, and then we have Isaac in the keyboards, and then I think we still have Memo playing the trombone. Okay, Memo is playing the trombone, and that's it. We don't. Everybody else is like sometimes they are in the band, sometimes they're not in the band. They just come around, and that's why we always have like like people who is helping us playing, like you guys. Sometimes you help us, and sometimes I need to ask somebody else and things like that. So that's the way it works in Clandestino. So the bass is Toby, Charlie, and me. And then we have the drum player. He's been around for a long time as well, so he's part of the band as well. And Chewy, the percussionist, and now the keyboard player.
Okay. So for people that have, I know a lot of friends have always wanted to go play in Mexico and stuff, and I've gotten the chance to. But what do you think is the hardest thing having to bounce back and forth when you guys have some people in Mexicali, some people in Tijuana, right, are living up there right now?
Yes.
And in Imperial and El Centro, you guys are all over the place. Like, what's the hardest part about getting together or getting gigs back and forth? You know?
Yes, it is. It is hard, especially when you play in a band that is like a big band, like more than five people playing in the same band. It's kind of hard to just to organize everything. And also, if you're traveling, like you're going to Tijuana, you need to buy. You need to pay for gas. You need to maybe rent a car if you don't have a car, or like transportation. So those issues are kind of hard. And the hardest thing is to make understand, like, people who is making the venues or the events. It is hard for them to understand that we have some needs, and they really want to go. They really want Clandestino to go and play, to their places, but sometimes we don't have, the money to buy the gas or to pay for the gas and for transportation. So that's hard too. That's hard. So those issues are very hard in order for Clandestino to go to different places. We've been in LA, Tijuana, even in Mexico City, but it is hard. We need to pay, out of our pockets. When you have a band that, we play for by the heart, we don't receive like a salary or something like that. So we try to get some money from some, a little bit of money from one place, a little bit of money from another gig, and then we complete out of our pocket, so we can go ahead and travel and go to different places.
Okay. So how do you guys handle recording then? What kind of, you guys end up in studios? What have you been doing for that?
Well, yes, we don't have like a professional record already yet, but we've been like paying for people, that they have their home studios, so they have good quality and stuff. So that's what we do. Right now we have three independent records, and that's what we do. We just look for people who have like a decent home studio, and then we record. We record that. We go into that studio.
All right.
That's what we've been doing.
And so all three of the albums you've done have been in a different studio?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome, man. And do you guys have anything new coming out soon? You guys have anything you've been working on?
Yes, we have plans to record something new. Right now we have our own home studios. I have some equipment at home, and Toby has some equipment at home, and Chava, he has some other equipment at home. So we're trying to make like a puzzle of a home studio.
Okay.
And record some new songs.
All right. So hopefully something soon.
Yeah, maybe. Yes, probably at the beginning of this new 2021.
Okay. All right, great, man. And so tonight we got what do you got thrown at us? What do you want us to listen to?
If you have right now we have our new thing that we've been working, that we just released, is the Klandestino Desde Casa. So that's one of those videos that you record from home and stuff. And so if you want to play that would be great. The first song on that one is Emergencia, and that's like a virtual mode presentation. So that will be a good way to start today.
All right, man. So then it sounds like we got Emergencia coming up, and should be real good. I really appreciate you coming out, Iggy. Again, Klandestino. Oh, I forgot that. Where can we check you out? Where should we go online to see Klandestino?
Well, you can check Klandestino. You can find Klandestino as Klandestino with letter K, Klandestino MX, Klandestino MX. You can find it. You can find Klandestino in Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere.
Okay. Great, man. I really appreciate you coming out tonight, and hopefully everyone sticks around and check everything out. All right, thanks everybody for sticking around. Yeah, whatever is going to continue here with Aaron Carnes. If I remember correctly, we get to call him Carne. You go.
Yes. You can call me Carne or Carnitas.
Oh, Carnitas. That's actually one of my favorites, man, for being honest. But he's a writer for many different magazines. I'll let him talk about that a little bit. And most currently, a book called In Defense of Ska, which got my spine tingling when I heard about it. And then I've gotten most of the way through it, and I'm really enjoying it and can't wait to finish it. But let's start with, where did you grow up? Why'd you get into ska? Why'd you even write a book about ska?
So I'm from a town in Northern California called Gilroy. Not a very big town. We're in the southern tip of the Bay Area.
Lots of garlic.
San Jose is about 30 minutes north. San Francisco is about an hour and a half north. So we're the garlic capital of the world. We had a shooting there last year, I think. So I think that was our big spotlight in the national, national narrative. But yeah, that's where I grew up. And I got into ska. Well, actually, what's interesting is that Bay Area club music kind of got me interested. It was kind of the stepping stone to getting into ska because I was in this little town, Gilroy. There was nothing to do there. The closest version of live music that was available was San Jose and Santa Cruz. And I didn't really like mainstream music, and I would listen to alternative radio, but I would hear about like these live bands playing in clubs, and I got really fascinated by it. And I would get really into like the funk rock scene that was happening in the clubs, like Primus and Fungo Mungo and these kind of bands. Okay. But then somebody who I was friends with that was also into that music was saying, you got to listen to this band called Skank and Pickle. And so I went to go see Skank and Pickle in Santa Clara, which is right just north of San Jose. And that was just the game changer for me. I was blown away by their music, by their live show, by their energy, by their message, by the camaraderie of the fans and the different people that were there, the diversity of people, the fact that there was almost like no kind of fan, there was no elitism. It wasn't even really scary. Like some of these like punk rock metal bands, it wasn't elitist, but it was a little scary. Like they would draw these kind of like, I don't know, these guys that were a little scary. You didn't want to get in the pit with them because they wanted to create havoc. But it wasn't really like that at Skank and Pickle show. It was like very friendly, even though it was kind of a chaotic environment. So I felt at home, and I really loved the music, and I just loved the performance of Skank and Pickle, and that just opened the doors for me to learn about all kinds of other ska bands.
Okay, and so Skank and Pickle pretty much directly led to you being part of Flat Planet?
Flat Planet was a band before Skank and Pickle, but we weren't playing ska initially.
Okay.
Flat Planet was sort of an organic thing between me and my friends as we learned how to play music. Oh. My friend Mike Vinelli, who was the guitarist for Flat Planet, he played guitar. I played drums in marching band. So as we were Mike was writing these kind of dumb songs, like kind of silly songs. And my friend Bruce was singing them. I was like, well, I play drums in band, so maybe I could play drums. And Bruce took up the bass because that was the last remaining instrument. So we kind of went from writing these sort of joke songs to writing these sort of Pink Floyd songs. Bruce ended up leaving. We started getting other people. We were doing like this sort of Police meets Rush sort of thing for a while. And Skank and Pickle happened. And then I was like, I wanted to be a ska band after that. And so, but it wasn't an immediate thing. I had to convince the other members. And then, it happened within a year, I would say, that we just pretty much went full on ska after that.
Okay. And do you guys still do anything at all, or has Flat Planet been gone for some time?
We're still friends. We continually discuss the possibility of a reunion, but it hasn't happened. I'm hoping that maybe the fact that I write about Flat Planet in the book so much will instigate a reunion at some point.
Get the excitement going, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. So then, before we get to the book, how, with all of that, did you end up being a writer for so many different places, and maybe talk about some of the different magazines you've been a writer for?
Yeah, I started doing journalism about a decade ago, but what started it was probably maybe 5 years before that, maybe even 8 years before that. I got really into writing fiction and wanting to write short stories and wanting to write novels and all that stuff. I wrote a lot back then, and I was a little too scared to send it out for publication. Occasionally I did. I didn't really get too far with it, but when I was in my early 30s, I started feeling this sense of like the chances of me making a living as a fiction writer were pretty slim, but maybe there was a chance that I could write nonfiction and I could actually make some money and do writing as my profession rather than just the thing I did at night after work. So I was living in San Jose at the time, and I thought I'd reached out to these community newspapers. I thought that was a good in. They were just these newspapers that they didn't even cover San Jose as a whole. They covered like neighborhoods in San Jose, and they would cover things like city council meetings, but also like community events, like Easter egg hunts for kids and stuff like that. So they said, sure, you could write for us, but we can't pay you anything. So I said, that's fine with me. I figured but my payment would be my education. Yeah. And so I wrote whatever they asked me to write for, I don't know, like half a year. And then as I was feeling a little more confident and I felt like I had clips I could show, I reached out to the local weekly newspaper in San Jose. It's called Metro. And they said, I actually had to do an internship with them and write for another 6 months for free. But I wasn't in college. So I don't know. Internship was just code for write for free for another 6 months. But that's fine. Because after that, I started being able to write for them for money and stuff. And that writing for Metro for a little while kind of gave me the opportunity to start pitching to other places. And then, within a few years, I had like half a dozen publications that I was writing for. And that eventually that led to things like writing for Playboy, writing for Salon, writing for Bandcamp Daily, just various different publications. These days, I still write for weeklies primarily. I write for Good Times in Santa Cruz, which is actually owned by Metro, and I'm the music editor over there. And I write, a ton of their music content, and I just pick up other stuff, work where I can get it. It hasn't been too much since once I got working heavy into the book, I had to kind of let go of some of my heavy freelance writing, and then even now that the book's done and I'm promoting it, I still have to be cautious with how much work I take on because it just takes a lot of time. So I have to,
gets overwhelming.
Before I did the book, I was freelancing a ton for as many places as I could. Okay.
And are you primarily writing about music or any other stuff?
Yeah, I'd say about 85% of what I write about is music.
Okay. Sweet. So I guess we have you here to help people learn about In the Defense of Ska and hopefully help a few more people find it and read about it. So what would you tell someone who knows nothing about it?
Know nothing about Ska or knows nothing about my book?
Let's go with knows nothing about the book.
Okay.
A Ska fan why do they need to read it? What's in there for them?
Well, okay, so there's two different audiences we're talking about.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
We're talking about Ska fan, we're talking about Ska hater.
Let's hear them both.
Or maybe Ska neutral. Let's even say Ska neutral or Ska hater.
Yeah, let's hear them both. What's there in store for them?
Well, for a Ska fan, I told a story in there about how Let's Go Bowling got their band shot.
Yeah.
It's completely unimportant to the greater scheme of Ska history, but a really interesting story. And it's one that I remember hearing about back in the 90s, but I didn't know anything about it. It was just I kind of heard someone mention it to me, and I didn't even know if it was true. And when I was interviewing them, I brought it up, and they told me the whole story, and I just thought it was like so fascinating. Like the fact that when you're a touring band, you think of your van as like a safe space right?
It's home.
It's the place you go. It's your one consistent place. And even though we all kind of know logically that cars are not safe places, it feels like a very special place.
Yes.
And the fact that you could be driving home after a gig and have bullet holes shoot through your van, that's just a terrifying thought.
Yeah.
So, and just to spoil the story a little bit, the band didn't get hurt, but it's interesting nonetheless that it happened. So there's a lot of that in there. There's a lot of stories. There's a lot of like important historical stories in there too. And it jumps around. So it's not focused on one specific ska scene. It's not one specific era. There's also stories, personal stories from my band. So you definitely haven't heard those stories.
Right.
Unless you're in my band. So for a ska band, I think there's a lot of new, interesting material, and I think it's written in a way that's very engaging and story-driven. Now, the ska hater or the ska neutral, this is the audience that I hope to appeal to, because I feel like the ska fan is going to probably want to read it, whether or not I make a pitch for it.
Yeah,
because
it says ska.
There's not a lot of ska books out there.
Yeah.
The ska hater is the person that has no intentions of reading a book about ska. However, I wrote it with them in mind because I found a lot of ska haters don't know much about ska. A lot of their hatred is based off of limited knowledge and outdated stereotypes that don't even fit 90% of the ska bands.
Yeah.
They make fun of the 6 bands that were on MTV, and they kind of build this whole narrative and stereotype around it, and then that's it. But I mean, I'm not necessarily offended that they're making those jokes. It's more that they don't actually know anything about ska, when in fact they could learn a whole bunch about ska, and they could either appreciate it, like some of the bands, or still hate it, but at least they would know something about the subculture. I know things about subcultures that I'm not that interested in. So I feel like, and I find it interesting. I don't necessarily have to like the music to find it fascinating, the intricacies, the stories and stuff of other subcultures. So I think that the ska haters will find the stories interesting. I also think there's a good chance it'll challenge their hatred, because their hatred isn't based off of everything. And I think there's music that a lot of different people can like, that people that allege to hate ska.
Right.
Also, there's several chapters devoting to specifically defending ska and specifically challenging the narratives that they probably have in their head. So I think it's a healthy exercise to read it and challenge it.
Yeah. No, I got to, you're writing about all the bands playing through the 90s, touring through the 90s, creating the ska scene underneath the MTV scene and such.
Yeah.
And, you talk about all the way back. I wasn't aware with 64, Millie, gonna have to help me here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I had to go look that song up, and I know that song, and I'd like to think of myself as a ska connoisseur. I've been doing it forever and listening to it forever, and so I'm definitely getting educated on top of enjoying the stories. And I will say, you're naming at least 30 bands I've never heard of, that you get to go try to find out and look up, because they're just from different scenes, and you've probably never heard any of the bands I did, kind of a thing. But again, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show tonight and being part of Yeah Wuteva.
Appreciate you for having me on.
kept going slow.